Hi there, welcome to Lacosse's Way to Grow. I'm Laura Ravey, with me is Dwayne Friesen from Lacoste Garden Center, of course, and we're talking about dividing perennials, moving things around your garden. Fall is a good time to do this, and summer is unfortunately over, so...
It's over. We're enjoying a great fall, but fall is the time to be able to move plants around, and ideally we're going to be waiting for some cold weather, frost, and the leaves will ideally be off the plants, especially when we're talking with trees and shrubs.
Okay.
So that means that they're dormant, they're inactive, so they're not drawing water anymore, and there's going to be less stress for them.
Okay.
But now for the perennials, we can cheat a little bit more with perennials. You can fudge those boundaries a bit more, and perennials are great to move in the fall. And you can move all of your perennials in the fall. That's not a problem. But a general rule that you can follow is plants or perennials that will flower in the spring or very early summer, move them in the fall, and then that won't affect the flowering for next year.
Okay.
And plants that bloom in the summer or fall, move those in spring. Again, you're not going to be affecting the flowering time. But if you have to do them, they'll root in, they'll take, everything will be fine, but you may just affect some of the flowering. So that would be the general rule that you can follow as a guideline. But the carcass that I have here, it's almost like a carcass that we've had. We've got one big hosta here, and it's ready for some divisions, and that's the thing with perennials. A lot of people look at them as being less work. We want to do perennials because they're less work. They thrive on being divided every 3 to 5 years, getting rid of the oldest part of the root more to the center and keeping the young divisions off to the side. That's what will be the young vigor the plants are, and the hostas would be things like that. You could either cut back all the greens on it down so it's a little bit easier to work with and see with, but if the leaves were all gone and it was later in the year, we'd actually see the growing points, little eyes that would start showing up down at the base of the plant here. And now you can't see it because the stems are still there, but you would see those growing points coming out of there. But now you'd want to take roughly about 2 or 3 of those growing points per division. So on something like this is a big root, you could use a knife. Okay. Or a spade, nice and sharp. Try avoid tearing. That will damage things more. So if you can do some nice clean cuts, the cuts on the roots will callus over and seal up, and there may be less issues as far as rotting on the roots goes. So use a knife, and this one is just kind of a hunting knife, got a serrated edge on it, so it does cut well and works great on sod as well, or a shovel. And I'll just use a shovel on here because this is actually a bigger root. Okay. But you can see here we've got some good points here within the growth, and it'll be surprising how much you'll just actually have to push down to make it go. And you can hear we're cutting right through some roots there.
So how traumatic is this for the plant?
For right on the cutting edge, yeah, it'll bother it a bit. Okay. But the beauty of it is the plants will recover. I've got it here. So we've got this clump here. We've got probably 4 or 5 good growing points in, and here's the crown of the plant. So now we've got our division here. This is what we can move off to the new location. Now what will become very important is that when we replant, we're planting to the same soil depth here. We're not covering it up more. The growing points for this hosta are going to be right here at this point, so we don't want to cover those up. So with this plant here, we'll probably discard some of the oldest part right in the center. Okay. But otherwise, we'd probably get another 4 or 5 divisions off of this easily on that, and so you've got 4 or 5 more plants that you can use. That's the beauty of perennials. Now, when we're going off to trees and shrubs, I've got a dogwood here that we've started on. You can't divide trees and shrubs. You can transplant them, but you can't divide them. You can't tear them up like this. So that question does get asked. Can't do that, but you can dig them up and move over here. And I worked on this a little bit before. And with your shrubs, when I was going around the circle, I'm circling the plant first, going with a straight cut, going down around, and I'm trying to give myself at least 8 inches or even more from the center growing point of the plant, going straight down. So I'm cutting all of those lateral roots that are coming around, going around. Once I've gone around it, then I'm getting my shovel in, and I'm starting to go underneath, trying to get the tap roots underneath and loosening it up. And as you're digging, you're going to feel those roots underneath there, and you need to cut through them. And you just go around again, circling, going around until you feel it nice and loose, and then you can just start lifting it with your shovel. Now, you don't want to be too rough on the root ball with your shovel. You want to keep that root ball together. And as we dig it up here, taking it out of the ground, looks like we have a big root ball, but we've actually left most of the root system behind. Those fibrous-y roots are what's drawing all the water in, and there's a lot of them there. You may not even see them, they're so small, but there's a lot of them there. That's what's feeding the plant. So that's why you want to do it when the tree is dormant, either in late fall or in spring. There's going to be no stress to it.
Okay.
And again, in fall, the soil is nice and warm. How we talked with planting, the roots will root in, and you move it off to its new location and plant. And again, when you're planting a tree or a shrub, it goes back to the same depth. Okay. So you can do that kind of moving around now in the fall, and you can do it safely.
Okay, so if people want to learn more about this stuff, where should they go?
Well,